This week, Siskel and Ebert review Mel Gibson, Jodie Foster, and James Garner in Maverick. A small town isn't big enough for both Mia Farrow and Natasha Richardson in Widow's Peak. Plus a look at the animated sequel, The Return of Jafar.
Remove your hands from the lady.
Sometimes when you least expect it, your hero arrives. Mr.
Cooper, Zane Cooper. Folks call me Coop. Suits me just fine. Coop.
Well, this silly-looking creature's named Maverick.
Mel Gibson is a light-hearted gambler who tries to talk himself out of trouble, and James Garner is the lawman he's up against in Maverick, one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. Also on this show, a new movie starring 3 big actresses, Sissy Spacek, Mia Farrow, and Uma Thurman, and the made-for-video sequel to Aladdin. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
Coming up next, they've made a sequel to Aladdin, and I'll bet you haven't heard of it. We'll explain why next, so get the kids as we review The Return of Jafar.
Stupid monkey! Put him down, Abismal! Who are you? My friends call me Al. You can call me Aladdin.
You know who that is? That's Aladdin, of course, and his monkey Abu in The Return of Jafar, the made-for-video sequel to the smash hit Aladdin. And the fact that it was made for video and not originally for theaters may explain why a lot of people haven't heard about this Aladdin sequel, and that's too bad because it's a pretty good film. To be sure, fewer songs, a little less production value, but still quite entertaining with all of the old characters like Aladdin and his Princess Jasmine, again tormented by the evil wizard Jafar, who has been turned into a genie. A featured role this time is given to Jafar's parrot, Iago, again with Gilbert Gottfried's comic voice, here being asked by Jafar, trapped in the genie's lamp, to be set free.
You know something? You're nothing without me. What? Who comes up with all the good ideas? Me! Who does all the work? Me!
If it weren't for me, you'd still be in a cage at the bazaar, squawking, Polly won't a cracker!
The best song in the movie, Just Forget About Love, sung by Iago and the film's Lovers. Aladdin is sung by Brad Kane, Jasmine by Liz Calloway.
I can't forget about my heart.
I can't forget about my
All for
heart.
you right from the start.
I'm still falling.
Whatever we may do,
Whatever
you
we
are here
may
for
do,
me and I'll be there for you.
I'll be there
To wish, to want, to wander, to find the sun through rain and thunder.
cozy rendezvous.
Yes, please.
I know what you're thinking, where's the blue genie? Well, he's in the movie, and he is magical and funny in many scenes, but he's not played by, his voice isn't played by Robin Williams. Actually, the voice is played by Dan Castellaneta, who's also the voice of Homer Simpson. And I bet that fact that Robin Williams isn't in the movie is part of the decision to go directly to video with this project. Robin Williams was wildly underpaid for the original movie, the original Aladdin, and he wanted no part of any sequel. Still, there is considerable entertainment value to the genie character and to this film. I watched this picture on tape on my big screen last night with my kids. We all enjoyed it. So a positive review from me, but you have to go to a video store to find it, for The Return of Jafar.
I give it a thumbs up, too. I think the reason they didn't release it theatrically is they've got The Lion King coming out this summer. They have a big animated release every summer.
Right.
So there isn't room in the rotation for a sequel yet. This was the biggest animated movie ever made.
At that time.
So it's kind of clever to bring out a sequel on video. And it's interesting that they did push it a little bit. I like the fact that really a lot of the action hinges on Iago this time, who has a change of heart. I mean, he started out being Jafar's henchman.
Jafar,
And Jafar's henchman. And he turns out to be a good guy here. He struggles. There are a couple of times when he wants to just sit it out and he's not going to get involved, but then he does come through, and that's interesting.
I'm glad they were able to keep Gilbert Gottfried in that role.
The return of Jafar gets 2 thumbs up with this sequel to the big animated hit Aladdin. It's got some nice songs, some funny moments, but it's only on video. It's not in theaters.
Also, the return of Jafar, surprisingly good. It is available on home video.
Psycho Dennis Hopper and a runaway bus in Speed. John Lovitz joins Billy Crystal and Jack Palance at home on the range in City Slickers 2. And a young prince must battle his evil uncle to become the Lion King.
There's enough C4 on this thing to put a hole in the world.
Okay, all right, just stay calm. What else?
3 triggers, one on the axle I can't really see, a cellular remote, and a timer running off a wristwatch.
Watch? What kind of watch?
Keanu Reeves engages in a citywide duel with a mad bomber who has rigged a bus in Speed, one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. We'll also look at the new Disney animated feature, The Lion King, review Billy Crystal and City Slickers 2, and talk to Spike Lee and Eddie Murphy. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
Yeah, well, okay. Coming up next, The Lion King, the latest Disney animated feature.
Hey, Uncle Scar, when I'm king, what'll that make you?
A monkey's uncle.
You're so weird.
You have no idea. I'm the one true king. Remember who you are.
A young lion takes his place in the natural order of jungle life in The Lion King, the latest feature-length Disney animated film, and while it's not in the same class as Beauty and the Beast or The Little Mermaid or Aladdin, it's still pretty entertaining with a great-looking and sounding opening number which establishes the story, Circle of Life, as we follow the transference of power in the jungle. That little lion cub can't wait to become king as he tells his young cub girlfriend.
Everybody look left, everybody look right. Everywhere you look, I'm standing in the spotlight.
Naturally, there is a threat to his ascendancy in the form of 3 hyenas and an evil uncle named Scar who is jealous of his brother's little cub.
Oh, Scar, it's just you.
You were afraid it was somebody important.
Yeah, you don't like Mufasa.
Yeah.
I see.
Now that's power.
Tell me about it. I just hear that name and I shudder.
Mufasa.
Ooh. Do it again.
Mufasa. Mufasa, Mufasa, Mufasa.
One of the best looking sequences in the movie is the wildebeest stampede as the little cub has been lured by his uncle into an ambush.
I'll go back home. That's what I'll do. I'll go back home.
The little cub loses his father. Hey, it wouldn't be a Disney animated feature without parental death, would it? And the cub is cheered up by a couple of funny friends, a warthog and a meerkat, whatever that is.
It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata?
Yeah, it's our motto.
What's the motto?
Nothing. What's the matter with you?
His friends are cute enough. I guess what I found lacking in the film was any excitement in that lion cub. He's as dull as Aladdin himself, and I wish there had been a scene in the picture showing more of the life in the jungle after the father dies and that bad lion Scar takes over with the hyenas for a while. Only a couple of songs are memorable, but of course I'm comparing now The Lion King to some of the best animated features ever made. Judged on its own, I think it's a good film, not a great one.
I'm pretty much in the same ballpark with you. I think that the excitement that you don't feel in The Lion Cub is there in Scar. And, of course, his voice is done by Jeremy Irons.
Yes.
And it's a real effective character. It's
Yes.
kind of too bad that the villain is the most memorable character in the movie.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was interesting is this movie is a little more serious than the other recent Disney animated films. It's not just a musical comedy. I mean, the theme of this little cub who thinks that he's responsible for his father's death, and then he goes into exile for so long in the hinterlands, is really a fairly sober one and a somber one.
Yeah, except that I think that the other stories, the Beauty and Beast story had some very serious
Yes,
themes
well.
into it, and Little Mermaid had serious
Yeah, well,
themes.
they were
as well.
better films.
They're better films. Okay.
2 thumbs up for The Lion King, the new Disney animated feature with a storyline a little more serious than usual, and a strong villain in Scar, the evil uncle, with a voice by Jeremy Irons. The movie opens next week in Los Angeles and New York, and wider the following week.